Good morning, my friends. Have you got beads? Have you got wire? Yeah, let's get going and let's make these gorgeous little earrings. So welcome back to the northwest of England. My name is Sam, and on this channel we just sit and we like sitting around a kitchen table and we just craft together. It's great, isn't it? So I hope you're all doing okay. To make these little pretties, you are going to simply need some beads and some wire. So I will just go through a little list of materials. We're actually going to be making the companion to this one today. Yeah, so I'm using 1mm rose gold coloured copper wire, which this one's tarnish resistant, but you can use whatever you like. 1mm copper wire. I'm just choosing to use this one today. You're also going to need some 0.4 26 gauge of the same wire, or whatever you want. Just, you know, these are just ideas for you, don't forget. I'm also going to be using some 3mm beads. These are little druks, cute little things, really sweet. I like them a lot. I've got a lot of them, so you can use whatever you like. Little faux pearls, screw back on, little faux pearls, whatever you choose. And you're only just going to need a couple of tools. So I'm using my pliers, I'm using my cutters, I'm using my 6-step bail making pliers. And apart from a couple of ear wires, which I make myself, you can make your own if you like, that's all you need. So let's quit the waffle. We'll get going and we'll make these cute little earrings. See you in a sec. Right, so we're back. Let's have a quick look at these. Aren't they cute? We can see like a sort of figure of eight sort of infinity symbol here, and then we're going to double wrap the little beads. They're really pretty in the ear. I've just had my hair cut, so I'm happily showing off some, you know, more dangly earrings than normal. So, but I thought these were really pretty. So, you know, based around just, you know, wire wrapping a single layer of beads, but I went round twice and we did the little figure of eight loopy thing there. I just thought that was quite cute. So let's have a look what we need to do. Righty ho. So I think you just need to cut off some of your 18 gauge, your 1mm. I'm going to suggest 4.5 inches. Perhaps it gives you a little bit more than you need, but I like to have a little bit more than I need because I don't like running out. So I'm going to suggest 4.5 inches, which for us is about 10 to 11 centimeters, something like that. So if you're going to be making earrings, you can make that into a pendant, I suppose. It'd be nice as a pendant too. Look, these are the copper ones. Yeah, you can make that into a lovely pendant as well, actually. But if you're going to be making earrings, obviously just make the frame at the same time, and then you know that everything is nice and equal and even. So let's bring in my pliers. These are 2 to 9 increments. Okay, so 2, 3. So I'm going to be using the 9 and the 3 today. Yeah, if you wanted to, but you know, these are just ideas for you, don't forget. So if you've got like a 1 to 10 or a 2 to 10 or whatever, you know, just whatever. Been a bit of a week again, although I have quite happily been sitting down and just making a few bits and pieces. So including a sweater that it's a cardigan that I've been knitting. So just bend your wire around your largest mandrel like this, so that you have this shape. Do it about 1/3 of the way down, because we're going to be inserting the second step, which, as I said earlier, is 3mm. Place it thus, and then holding tight, bend your wire around it, and then reset. So we've made this motif before, yeah, in a bracelet that I did once. I'll put that down in the description box if you wanted to have a look. It was like links, you know, nothing new, but you know, variation on a theme, I think we can say. Yeah, you're gonna get, actually, you know what, I think 10 or 11 centimeters is probably too much. You probably get away with about 7 or 8 centimeters, to be fair, which is what, Sammy, 2.5 to 3 inches perhaps. Typical of me, always use too much. Right. So let's come in with the pliers. So this this section here, this bit, you want to bend that upwards at a right angle so that we have this, and then we just want to be wrapping this guy around this guy here. So all I do, I mean, I've got pretty strong fingers. You can use nylon pliers to grip this if you wanted, but I just use my fingers because I'm just that way out, yeah, because I've got big hands. And then if you need to, just come in and just reset that center and then just push it down ever so slightly inside the circle. So there we go. That's, yeah, we've got a little bit too much wire there, haven't we? But when you're making yours, you can do a better job than me, I reckon. So let's just snip that off the back. Like I say, make 2 of these at the same time. And then, you know, obviously, you know that they are nice and even. Just give that a bit of a squish. Hope you're all doing okay, guys. Let me know in the comments. Not been getting very many views recently, so I'm not sure, you know, if it's my content that's absolute rubbish or trash, as you say over there in the States, or whether it's just YouTube doing its thing. I don't know. It's a good job I don't rely upon it for an income, isn't it? Really, honestly. Right, let's have a look at some beads. Let's have a look. Are they the same colour? Yeah, they're the same colour. So let's pop out our beads onto the mat here, onto the table. And you're going to need to take, I don't know, let's have a think. I do try and be okay with measurements for you guys because, you know, I'm just one of those, oh, just take that much. But, you know, I know it helps to have measurements. So I shall try my best. Do you know what? I'm going to say take 60 centimetres, about 24 inches, just to be on the safe side of your 26 gauge. Yeah? I think it's better to have too much than not enough in this world. Okay, so push those to one side. So what we want to do is pop our 26 gauge up through the middle, and we're just going to anchor it. Just anchor it. Take a couple of wraps if you need to use your chain nose pliers to pull this taut, then do that. Sometimes I do. Oh, don't want to go through the center, Sammy. There we go. Sometimes I do because, you know, arthritis is starting in the old fingers. Okay, so I've got 3 wraps there essentially, and I push that up to the top, and then make sure everything's nice and happy up there, and just get that guy out of the way. Yeah, so here we are. So we're ready for our first bead. Now this wire is quite springy, I've discovered. Not sure whether it's because it's coated, you know, with a non-tarnish coating. I think it might be, but it's a little bit springy. So I'll try my best to make it not hit me in the eye. So you have springy wire. Protect your eyes, my friends. Okay, so we've got our first bead on, like this, and then we just pop the wire down through carefully. Yeah, and we want to just wrap that bead on the wire, on the frame, so it's sticking outwards. It doesn't want to be inside, it wants to be outside the frame, like that. I quite like the wire showing, but you know, it's up to you. If you want to wrap it so, you know, the wire doesn't show, then back through and pull like that, and then back through again. So you've got 2 wraps in between each bead. That makes sense. I've just pulled there and then pull, yeah, and then just keep straightening your wire as you're going. The wire is a little unwieldy, isn't it, in the first instance, until you get, you know, a few beads on. So I'm just going to pop another bead on, bring it down. I mean, we've done these before, you know, this kind of wrapping, haven't we? It's nothing new. This is just what I've been playing with this week. That's all, just to keep the mind occupied. Okay, so then we tighten it, tighten it up. Ooh, planes again. Pop your wire through, and just all the time, just keeping everything nice and neat and tidy, and pop the wire through again. So that's 2 wraps in between each bead. So I'll just do a couple more. Yeah, and then we'll meet back when we've got our beads on. So keep everything sort of tucked up if you can. Gosh, sirens as well today. We've got it all going on here in this sleepy seaside town. Nothing ever happens here, but it seems to all be happening today. You might be able to hear my dog snoring. So there we go. Okay, so through, and then pull taut, nice and taut, but don't snap your wire. And then through, nice and taut, and then through again. All right, so you've got two wraps in between each bead. So I'll just do one more, just because, and we'll happily listen to that wonderful emergency responder. I hope everyone's all right and nothing awful's happened. Gosh. Okay, so we pull through and then back through for 2 wraps. There we are. Now I'm just going to count. I mean, these are 3mm beads, so how many did I get around? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 11 around there. Yeah. So if you've got the same, the same size pliers and the same size hoops and loops and everything that I have, you should be able to fit 11 of these 3mm beads around there. So I'll come back when we're at this side. Okay, so I'll see you in a few. Right, my friends, we've come to the end, so I'm just going to pop my final number 11 bead on. Let's just double check and count them all. Oops, they're all going everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Super. So this is the final one. So we pop that through there and tighten that up. So we're going to be spreading these around a little bit in a second. Just bringing this final one a little tighter. Just pop your wire through and then back through. There we are. There we go. So everything is nice and tight and secure. So we'll just bring that out of the way a little bit. So what you want to do now is just spread out your beads just a little. Just make sure that they're all nice and, equal. You can go right up to the top if you wanted to, but I quite like this sort of effect where, you don't have a bead right up to the top. That's, that's just my opinion and just the way that I made these. Yeah. Okay, so can you see how these, we've brought the beads so they're equal. Super. So let's get on to the next part. Oh, my glasses are falling off my face. There we go. So what we want to do now is pop a little bead in between each of these. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10. So we want 10 beads now, I think. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 10. I can count. Very clever. So we want to get this wire, but make sure that it's sighted in between the first 2 beads. So just pop it to the side a little bit, to the left, if you're doing this right-handed, and from the back, pop it in between. Yeah, you see that? So just pop it in between, thread your wire through, and just pop it gently in between and pull taut. Not too taut, but taut enough. And then you want to pop a bead on and bring it down. I know a lot of the stuff that I do is really simple, and I like simple jewelry, simple and elegant. If it's too simple for you, that's fine. But I just think sometimes simplicity and elegance is, the name of the game, really. So you just pop that bead in between. and then pull your wire slightly to the left again. Yeah, and then we want to pop our wire through the center, and then in between beads 2 and 3, just pull it taut. Can you see? It sort of pops into place, and then we'll put another bead on. So you keep doing that all the way around in the spaces in between the beads. So can you see here? That's sighted there. Pop your wire through. And just very gently pull that wire in between, but make sure that that bead stays in between the 2 beads. There we go. You see that? Oh, that's my wrist cracking. Yeah. Okay, so we just want to pull this wire to the side a little bit and then pop your wire through like this, in between, and then just pull it slightly taut. It does pop into place. You'll actually feel it pop into place. Let's get another bead. Really love these little beads. I bought them off Etsy actually, but the seller doesn't sell them anymore, which is a real shame. So I am coming towards, you know, towards the end of my stash of these, which is a bit of a pity. Okay, so you see that? We've got that in between beads 3 and 4. Pop your wire through the center, nice and controlled. You don't want to kink your wire at this stage. Just making sure that that bead stays in between. Yeah. I sort of hold it in between my thumb and my forefinger, and you know, my fingers here. And then again, you want to pop your wire through. And just tighten that slightly. You don't want to tighten it too much, because you do need a little bit of space in between. Yeah, so we're coming out here for another bead. I'll just do this one more and then we'll meet back at the end and we'll finish off. Really, really simple, but I think super pretty, super effective. Absolutely gorgeous little earrings. Like a starburst type of thing, or a sunburst, or be really, really nice with yellow beads perhaps. They resemble like a sunshine burst type of thing. Yeah, so we'll just do this last one and then we'll meet back when we're finished. And hopefully you'll enjoy making these simple but really effective, pretty little earrings. Okay, so can you see in between? Oh no, wait a minute. Oh yes, no, I haven't done that right yet. In between, pop your wire through the center. And then, oh, we've got trains, planes and automobiles today. Good grief. And then just pull, just slightly, just to make sure that everything's in place. Yeah? Okay, so I'll finish this off and we'll meet back at the end. Right, my friends, we are back to the start. So we'll just pop this wire through, ready for our last bead. There we are. If you find it's bunched up slightly, just literally grasp and pull everything around a little bit, you know, move things around slightly, you know, it's very forgiving. There we go. Final bead. Yeah, pop that on. These tiny little beads. There we go. And you could make a larger version, obviously, with larger beads if you wanted, you know, just ideas. And then just place the final bead on in that section there. And then move things around a little bit. It does fit in, I promise. You just have to just pull things around a little bit. And then a final wrap. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut, just snip that little bit of wire there. Oops. Watch your eyes, guys. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'll use these and I'll just Squidge that down a little bit. There we are. So here we are for our final wrap round, just in that top space there, just to give everything a final jiggle about. You know, you might have bent things around a little bit, it doesn't matter. There we are. If you wanted to give it a double wrap, you can. I've found that it doesn't need it. You know, you've only got that little bit left. You can use that in your spares, you know, for little things. And then just give that a little bit of a squish. So that is it. So like I say, come in now with your little fingers or big fingers or whatever you've got and give it a bit of a squish down. There we are. So that's what we have. Pretty, yeah, I think so. Yeah, so we've got a double bit here. So let's make the top loop. So all you need to do, very carefully, because this is coated wire, so you just be very careful with coated wire. Bend it at an angle, and then I'm going to be using the second step again on my plier. So I want about 1.5 centimeters, something like that. Let me measure it. Yeah, about 1.5 centimeters. You chop that off, and then take your plier, wind it around. That's a little long, that's fine. Chop that off, wind it around. Gosh, all the planes are out today. I've no idea why. Still a little long. There we are. It's always better to have too much than not enough, isn't it? There we go. That's better. There we are. That's better. So there we have it. So there's our little earring. Isn't that cute? So all we need to do now is to put on our ear wire. So obviously you can match the ear wire to the metal that you've used. It'd be super lovely in silver actually with this, with some like faceted sparkly beads. Lovely for a night out, I think. And the beauty of making your own jewellery is that you can make it, you know, to fit any outfit, actually. So what do you think of those? Aren't they pretty? I really, really like these. Like I say, really simple jewellery, but so effective. I mean, look at how cute those are. Gorgeous in the ear. You can use any metal you like. These are obviously the ones that I made in the copper. Really, really pretty. So I hope you enjoy making those. Let me know in the comments if you can actually still see me. I have so many beautiful subscribers, but I'm not sure if you guys are seeing me. So let me know in the comments, and let me know how you're doing too. I do like to hear from you. And I'll see you in my next video. Okay, where we'll probably just be faffing again. So you know, get all your supplies ready, and we'll do some more faffing. Speak to you soon.